if I invented a cure for cancer tomorrow in the real world,
Yeah,
I'd give it away to the world for free,
Yes.
and it wouldn't bother me in the slightest.
I can attest to that. He is that person.
But in this game, I'm not that person.
Right.
I don't care that your children are dying from this disease.
In the
you
game.
don't have the money to buy it.
In the game.
In the game. In the game.
In the
if
game.
you don't have the money to buy it, fuck off. I don't care.
And then they come in with the pitchforks and the torches.
God, I hate that.
Welcome back to Vendor Trash.
It is so difficult to not think about other people listening to what we're saying and spit out words for them and not for you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, completely.
All right. Vendor Trash.
Vendor Trash, episode 2.
What are we talking about today?
The schedule of things to come. That's my movie trailer voice.
Movie trailer.
You have a movie trailer voice?
In a world.
In a world.
Pre-launch has already begun.
Tim was an ordinary gamer.
Tim.
Actually, it's usually like a first name, last name. Timothy Duncan was an ordinary gamer when everything changed.
All right. Last time we talked about why we're excited about this game.
Yes, very broad strokes.
This time, more broad strokes. We're going to dig into what's happening between the Kickstarter and launch. Am I right?
Yeah, because there's a lot of stuff. Like the difference between this game and most other games, I guess, is what we're really discussing. Most games have a natural progression from, concept to delivery, which includes, all the development, of course, and that leads into an alpha, which is usually closed to the developers, and then few select people get in, and then it moves into alpha 1, alpha 2, then into beta, open beta, closed beta, open beta, public beta, and then finally launch. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's a generally accepted chronological order of events, but Chronicles of Elyria is completely different.
In the lead up to this conversation, I was under a misconception, and it led to me asking you an almost nonsensical question in our last podcast, to which you completely ignored and answered a different question. Not the point. What is the Dance of Dynasties? They talk about it quite a bit, and it's the way they talk about it on the surface. It looks like it's an event.
Right.
It's not.
I got you. Yes, because even when you asked the question, I answered it completely. And we got to qualify, as always, that this whole podcast is trying to base it off of only information we get from Soulbound Studios, the official boards and things like that. But a lot of it's just our wild speculation and conceptions and our deductions about the game. We could be completely wrong, and welcome people telling us when we're wrong. That being said, the Dance of Dynasties is the political machinations that occur in this world where every player is in a position of, not every player, but every position of power is filled by an actual player character. And it is the natural political ups and downs, backstabbing, alliances, treaties that occur as this world continually evolves. That is the Dance of Dynasties. That is, it's not an event. It's not a single thing. It's ongoing continuously. And it started whenever people started buying those packages that included royalty as part of their deal.
Right.
And it's going on right now. Obviously people don't know exactly what they're doing because they don't have kingdoms yet. They don't have counties. They don't have, they have them, but they don't, the maps haven't even been generated yet for the game. So everything they're doing right now is speculative playing of the Dance of Dynasties. They're making alliances there, but right now they don't even know if they're going to be on the share a border, let alone being able to. So a lot of things are waiting on that, but the intent is there, and the excitement is there behind it.
What I see going on, especially on the Discord servers, because we've recently started looking for a kingdom,
right?
And so we were looking into what's this kingdom got, what's this one have. So we've joined a couple of Discord servers just to see what's going on. And a lot of what's going on in each kingdom is a setting up of who's going to be doing what. Not just the nobles, but the people, you know, down on the lower tiers. What kind of guilds are there going to be? What kind of infrastructure are we going to build?
Yeah, which kingdoms are built around loyalty to the king, which ones are built like conglomerates and you know, different political structures, and what's being demanded by the royalty already versus,
Right.
of course,
That
all, you know, most of them are promising the moon, and everybody's got great plans. Everybody's got a plan till you punch them in the face.
and that was my conception of the Dance of Dynasties. It was the players themselves organizing and structuring their kingdoms in such a way so that they could hit the ground running.
And that is part of it.
And I think that's what they're trying to do.
Yes. I don't
but
think it's a
with such
misconception.
limited information, it's really tough.
Yeah, that's the biggest. I mean, and of course, it's, you know, no, there's with so much hype about this game. There's no way information can come out quick enough from the developers to satisfy people. It's just the bottom line of it. That's why we're going to sit here and talk about it.
Absolutely. All right. So enough of that.
Yes.
I wanted to get that out of the way because I was confused about it. And if I'm confused about it, there's at least one other person out there who's also confused about
Yeah, we just settled it for them. So the normal series of events that creates a game. This game has it. They're going to have an alpha, a closed alpha. Oh, I'm sure they're already internally testing stuff, and you know they've released footage of said. But they're going to have the alpha 1, the alpha 2. They're going to move into beta, close down beta, and then open it up slowly to other tiers and things like that. Until
now, the
finally,
alpha and the beta, those aren't things that are going to be moving forward. Though, when you get into the alpha, you're going to be playing in the world, stress testing servers, and testing the way that the actual game mechanics work.
yes.
But they're going to wipe that stuff before the game goes live.
Yeah, I think that they're talking about Alpha 1 lasting like 30 or 50 in-game years, which I don't know what's the length of
1
a
week
year?
is a year,
Yeah,
right?
1 week. I believe it's still around that. And so, you know, they're talking 30 to 50 in-game years. To, you know, that's so they can test long-term stuff on the engine and things like that. Character life cycles, events that occur over time, how the story engine of the game itself evolves as people do stuff, but none of it's going to be permanent. There'll be server wipes, character wipes, and things like that. As far as I understand at this point, nothing in
So
alpha.
it's not like previous games where you get into the alpha or the beta and the character that you're playing might actually transfer over.
Right,
even if they drop back to level 1, obviously no levels in this game, but if they drop back to level 1 and you start over, but you still get to keep that character. That is not what we're talking about here.
As we understand it, those I think are all include server wipes. I think there's somewhere where it actually says that. But there is stuff that is ongoing. And that's where it gets confusing to people when you start looking at all the different things they have. Because, I mean, I'm just going to list them off. Just talking, I mean,
Okay.
rapid fire, which is, they've got the Vox Elyria, which was formerly called the Elyria Mud. Alpha 1, server selection, settlement and domain selection, Kingdoms of Elyria game, Alpha 2, the design experiences, Beta 1, exposition, the prologue, Beta 2, stress test. And that's all stuff that's planned before launch. And when you hear all that stuff, it's like, holy crap, that's kind of overwhelming. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And a lot of that stuff overlaps. We're not talking about a straight timeline here. We're talking about Alpha 1 and server selection are supposed to be taking place at roughly the same time.
And roughly pretty soon. You know, that's what's got some people hyped.
Yeah, the first ones. But you go even further where it says Beta 1, exposition, prologue, adventure, toolkit. All of that stuff is listed simultaneously, not as one after the other.
Well, yeah, exactly. That. Okay, so which one you want to talk about?
The blaring one up front says Vox Elyria. That is the first thing listed. That's before Alpha 1. That's before server selection.
Yes.
What is Vox Elyria?
Vox Elyria, and they've actually showcased it side by side with the actual in-game. But basically what they're doing, everybody knows Minecraft, and it's a voxel-based game, very simple graphics. And what they're doing is they're taking the back-end client, the one that matters, and plugging it into a very simple graphical voxel client. And actually play
the AI, the critters,
yeah,
day-night cycles, weather, biomes, all of those things that
they don't need the fancy engine
no matter what. Yeah. While one team is working hard on the actual graphics, another team is working hard on the code that makes the world work, and you just plug the graphics on top of it. They're testing that underneath part with this Vox Elyria.
And people get access to the Vox Elyria to run around as their little characters pretty soon.
which
But they
does
get to
sound
test a lot of the multiplayer mechanics of the game in there without having to mess with the heavy, graphics and getting it all plugged in and looking good. So it's a way to just test mechanics really quickly and easily, quick and dirty.
so. There's a list here of features that are going to be available in Fox Elyria. I don't know if you want to go through them all
Yeah,
or not.
hit it.
Talk about
Anything?
all of
I mean, I don't.
them.
Again, let's speculate, brother.
Well, speculate. Anyway, communication, contracts. I can stop right there. Contracts.
Yeah.
That's a huge subject for this game.
Oh, there
You
is.
want to
There
go
is.
into it?
As little as I understand about it, man, I'm anxious to get into it, or seeing some sort of early version of how it's going to work, and I. I mean, contracts are going to make this world run. Everything from the king putting out a law is a contract. So what happens when you don't complete a contract? You got rights. It's just a huge.
Let's start at the bottom. Let's start at the beginning here, real quick.
Okay.
A contract is something that is written up in game. I say written up because I don't have any other words to describe it. But a contract is something that is written up in the game that is signed by individuals
Yes.
or approved by individuals, just like a contract. Such and such will take place, and such will abide by it.
And
Now, if a king writes a contract for his kingdom, her kingdom, queen, whatever, if a ruler puts down a contract and you are one of their subjects, just being their subject means that you have signed it.
Yeah, I think it's implicit contracts is law or whatever.
Right.
I mean,
Exactly.
Don't get me into the legalese.
Law is the best way to put it.
Yeah, they make the laws, and it's done
Yeah.
through the contract system, as I understand it.
Stop stabbing your neighbor when he goes to bed.
Right.
And
Murder is bad.
yeah, you are bound by that because you are part of their kingdom.
Yes.
Now, that contract means that if you break it, they can take actions based on their laws, their other contracts or whatnot, to punish you for that.
Right, which gets into crime and punishment and proof, and which gets into disguising yourself and committing crimes and
Right.
investigation and clues. And all of this has been hinted at and talked about.
The rabbit hole is deep. What you're saying.
Yes. But with Vox Elyria, this is the thing they get to test out is how those contracts work and how the crime and punishment system works, how the investigation system works, and proof and information as an actual entity in the game that can transfer from person to person, PC to NPC, et cetera, et cetera.
Let's take this as another step on contracts. Let's say we're talking about two non-noble people, two
Joes.
Two regular Joes.
Joe was a regular Joe.
One person has a need. They need animal pelts. They need leather.
Right.
And somebody else is a hunter. So those two could get into a contract like, hey, if you go out and get this leather, I'll pay you.
No,
Is
absolutely.
That also the type of contract you could have in the game?
Yes, that's exactly. And it's not only that, but I believe we're in the village where we're settled at, and you're the tanner that needs hides. You can go to the board and put a open contract up there that says, I will pay X silver for X hides. And so this is kind of in lieu of the go out and collect 10 rabbit pelt quests that the games have. Players actually make those type of quests because they need stuff, not because not an arbitrary.
Exactly. That's exactly the word I was going to use. You're not just arbitrarily killing things for some random NPC who's just going to make the stuff disappear as soon as you hand it to them.
Right.
The stuff stays in game, it stays used, and it becomes
part of the world economy. Yeah, and so like if your tanner's super successful and he's going to need more pelts, and your village becomes known as this fantastic place to get tanned goods. As a terrible example.
How much do we know about the ramifications of breaking a contract?
It's very little. And I think obviously the easiest one is if you bring me 10 pelts, I'll give you 10 silver. You don't bring the 10 pelts, then you don't get 10 silver.
Right. But let's say that the contract is not easy to fulfill. Let's say it takes 2 or 3 real world days of you gaming to fulfill this contract. And then you bring it back and they're like, no, I'm not going to pay you for it.
then I think you can, I mean, I think it's a lot like real world where you can say,
But
okay, I'm going to the local mayor and saying, hey, I completed this contract. Here's my proof. He owes me,
right.
and that's part of this world is the fact of it's like consequences for your actions.
And I'm not talking about the putting it up on the bulletin board. 'Cause if you just put something on a bulletin board and then somebody shows up with 10 pelts and you're like, I'm sorry, I've already bought 1,000 pelts. I don't need any more. That's not the same as an exclusive contract where, hey, I'll pay you this much to go do this.
Yeah,
You know
let's
what I
get
mean? You
specific.
can't.
Let's say that someone comes to us and says, hey, I need you guys to go out and explore the mountain there to this tree that's located 3 days travel from here and bring me back the information and map it. Right. So
Right.
we go and we complete that contract. We go out there, we draw a detailed map of it and everything like that. And we come back and he's like, nah, I ain't going to pay you.
Right. That's exactly what I mean. Then we can go to whatever the law is in our area
Right.
and complain. Now, whether anything happens about it or not is completely up to the constabulary or whatever they call themselves.
Yeah. The structure of that settlement.
Right.
And that's where it gets like, a good, if you belong to a good settlement, a good kingdom with good infrastructure, then there'll be good enforcement, to a point. And that's
Right.
going to be that's the interesting, like I said last podcast, the interesting thing about this, the social experiment of it. Is it all going to devolve into, I don't care, I do what I want? All right, you're going to tell me I have to pay him? I'll kill you.
Is the guy who we're trying to get money out of, is he paid up with the law enforcement well enough that he doesn't have to care?
And then that's, how much corruption goes into this and everything like that, and how much are we on the outs? And then we're like, okay, we're joining the uprising and overthrowing this corrupt government. And but I think another part that plays into this that's huge, and the reason it matters is reputation. Again, you don't go into a big contract that's going to take a lot of your time if you don't trust the person you're getting into it with. Obviously, like in the real world, you're not going to go buy a house with cash or enter into a contract to I'm going to do all this work for you and you pay me at the end and I don't know who you are. Right. So I think that's the point where reputation comes into the game and you're like, okay, this guy's really well known for being, and people seek his contracts because he's known to fulfill them. And if you fulfill your contracts, then people will seek you out to fulfill yours, your quests, for lack of a better word. So
and
I think
is the base. That's the baseline, I think, of the whole game economy, right?
But yeah, it all ties together back into what you do matters. If you're known, if your reputation is known as you don't complete contracts, then people are not going to take contracts from you eventually. And you won't be a successful tanner in the villages known for great tanneries. Tanneries. And with reputation being a known commodity that can spread, I mean, not reputation, but information, your reputation will spread from person to person. So you actually have I don't want to sit here and say a trust factor, but your reputation is known. And in theory, you'll want to protect it. No, I always complete my contract. A trustworthy person, someone who cares about having a good reputation. Obviously, there'll be the deviants and people who create whole disguises to be separately, Batman running around stamping out corruption.
You're looking at the trade and the economy aspect of the game. In your village, your town, wherever you are,
right,
your end of the city, whatever, people are going to get to know what you do. They're going to get to know whether or not you can be trusted to, finish what you start, whatever. Some rich noble comes through town, needs something done. He's not just going to post on the board, I don't think. He's probably going to go to the people who know, the business owners, and say, hey, who do you think I should hire to do this?
Yeah, I mean, I think the count needs something done that's important. He's going to contact the baron in the area where he needs it done and say, hey, yeah, I need this done. And then the baron's going to go to the mayor in the area down in the city or settlement and say, hey, I need this done. Who do you have that can get this done? And the mayor's going to be like, well, Joe the tanner is the shit at this.
Right.
I'm going to send it to him. Take care of this. Boom.
And it's going to be a pocket lining experience, as everybody's going to be, taking their cut,
benefiting all the way up and down the line,
all the way down where it comes down to the person who is actually going out and getting whatever item or thing it is that's needed and bringing it back.
And the cool part of this is the whole flip side. The count needs something done. He contacts the baron. The baron contacts the mayor. The mayor has no clue because he has nobody he can trust. He does it. He sends it out to these people. They're untrustworthy. They go out and do it, and they steal everything, or find their best way to muck it up. And
Right.
and the butterfly effect is 2 weeks later, 2 years in the game world, the count is going to war with someone.
I notice in all of this, there's one thing that is not. I mean, I know they have to be thinking about it, but let's say this scenario comes to pass. The count needs something done. He passes it to the Baron, passes it to the mayor, who passes it to a business owner, who passes it on to workers. Right.
Right.
All of this, we're talking about it as if it's all going to happen inside the game. But with the internet, that Duke or that Count and that Baron and that Mayor can probably just send an email to each other outside the game.
Sure.
Right?
I don't think there's any way to combat that as far as.
No, I'm not saying there is a way to combat it. I'm saying that those kinds of things cannot be limited to inside the game. As fun as that would be.
No, that would be fun. But yes, you're right. But the things that can be limited inside the game is the actual movement of the goods, since they physically have to be moved.
No. I understand. What I think what I was referring to is that you get the sense of, all right, I have to write up a document and send it to the Baron. And then the Baron's like, okay, well, I need to pass this document on to the mayor, and down and down and down.
Sure.
Now, that's that would be the contract.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And in the game, I don't know how they could restrict it to where it had to be done for this thing to be completed. I mean, it may be legally completed. I don't know. But there's no way to stop an email or Discord server.
Right.
And he'd say, hey, I need 40 swords built in this county.
Right.
Okay, well, we're working on
And
it. As soon as we get them done, we'll send them up.
I think the point that I was trying to make is that even if the mayor of the town comes to you and says, hey, the count needs this done, and he will pay this much. Me as a worker, me as a person who's going to go do this, I'm still going to demand a contract from that mayor.
No, I think, and that's the part where the game, 'cause the contract has to get there, it has to be signed.
I don't care how much trust this mayor has for the people above him. I want to make sure that when I spend all this in-game time, my benefit comes out of it.
No, and I think that without a doubt that has to be done, especially among strangers, even if they're talking on Discord. But like you gotta take me and you for example. I could call you up on Discord and say, "Hey Sam, I need you to hammer me out a sword," or "I need you to
Absolutely.
and it's going to be done when I log in next.
Absolutely.
And vice versa. And so I think there's going to be relationships
I
like that between kings and barons and counts and
right. And that's why I say, so if mayor gets an email from somebody else or a Discord talk, conversation, whatever, they might come to you and say, hey, I want you to do this. Don't assume that you are guaranteed payment without that contract.
Without the contract, yeah, without a doubt.
That's all I was trying to say.
Now, of course, yeah, I mean, and that's where the fun of this whole social experiment's going to be when we see kings say, on their Discord server, because I'm sure kingdoms are setting them up, and I mean they already have,
Right.
and they're going to say, hey, I need 400 swords made over here, and then you guys rally around it and do it, and then the king doesn't pay them, and that's going to be the crux of the fracturing of that kingdom.
Yeah.
I don't care what is it. Like, hey guys, look, I meant to, but I just can't afford it right now. We got to raise taxes. What? We built the swords. Anyway, that's the fun part, man, of this whole political, socio-political, economical, everything's happening, and irregardless of the Discord servers, if he needs 400 swords and he needs them at the front, they still got to be made in game, and they still got to be moved in game by pack mule, by wagon, whatever.
Right.
And there's no instantaneous, hey, I'm going to mail this to you. Here you go. Here's 400 swords.
I think the point I was trying to make is that just because someone tells you that this order comes from up above,
you need a contract.
You need a contract.
Yeah. If you want it to be binding, unless you trust the person. I mean, yeah, it's all. It's like
they are giving us the tools in game to make our own society.
Yes, that's a perfect way of putting it.
If we don't use those rules, if we don't use them to our advantage in every instance, then we deserve all the shitstorm that comes our way.
All the chaos that comes.
Right.
And that's the thing about the. I mean, do we have to do contracts? Just is it going to be just contract the game? A scribe's going to a scribe in every
Well,
village.
and I don't think it's going to be. No, I do think there will be a scribe in every village. There should be.
Yeah,
But
scribe will
what
be
I'm
a
saying
viable.
is like, if uh, Jack and Jill Hunter always go out and get pelts, they always have them for sale. Then Joe Tanner can always buy them from them. There's no contract needed.
Right. Just
All
straight
I'm
up, here
saying,
you go, trade of goods.
yeah. But if Joe's like comes to them and says, "Hey, I know you guys always have these pelts, but I need a lot more and I need them quick."
Right. Here's a
That's
contract.
when the contract. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I get you. I need 400 pounds of pelt.
I imagine there's going to be an underpinning of economy that exists regardless of the contracts themselves.
Ah, shoot, we don't even know what the monetary system is going to be. If there's going to be just coins, if there's even going to be, are kingdoms going to have to mint their own coins?
That's how awesome would that be if? Well, I mean, we're talking about the lead up. So into going as far as the kingdoms are going to be set up and all that. There's history. There already has to be a money system built into the game when we start.
I think if they're going to rely on barter until money systems are developed by the players, then it's going to be massive chaos. And so hopefully that's not the case. But I mean, it could be fun to try. But
I love the idea that the money is not infinite.
Yeah, just a number.
I love the idea that this is when you start. This is how many coins your kingdom has minted to this day.
Yeah, your actual X amount.
Right, and that's all that exists. That makes each coin actually have a value.
No, there's no doubt. It's a lot less on the what is it? The whole item inflation that occurs in MMORPGs is items just flood in and coin keeps flooding in from the selling of vendor trash is really the
seizure. Holy crap! You imagine that? Think about the problems with some of the other MMOs with like gold sellers.
Yeah.
Imagine a king or whatever, ruler. It's like, okay, this person is trying to sell my gold outside the game. Go take it. Go take all of it from him.
Go seize it.
Go take all of it.
Those are properties of the crown. That's my face on those coins.
That is justice right there, my friend.
No, it's exciting. I mean, it really is exciting. The ramification and the downside of that of I'm going to go seize all your coins.
Yeah.
And back to the uprising, back to the rebellion.
And this is why buried treasure chests actually happen.
Yeah, you got to protect your stuff. There is no. I mean, I'm sure people will make banks. In fact, there might be a way to get rich is actually create a bank and charge interest and have those sweet contracts. Ah, okay. We went down
a little outside my purview. We spent a lot of time on economy.
Yeah, we went down a rabbit hole.
Big subject.
That's what we do.
All right. The next thing we have here is families.
Yes. I mean, that's just something they're going to test in the Elyria mud. I mean, it's just another way.
Okay. No, I get you. We're still talking in Vox Elyria. These are the things that are going to be tested in Vox Elyria.
So I'm sure there's a lot more, but these are just some of the things we pulled off the wiki that they're talking about. And go ahead.
One of the things that I think about when I think of families is that I cannot think of my playtime as I am this character. Because that character is going to grow old and die.
Correct.
I'm not super invested in that character.
I think you will be. Even more so than a character that lives forever. Because
I'm saying that
finite lifespan.
I'm setting up a lineage.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Technically, you don't have to continue your soul in your heir. But I think most people are looking at it that way. I really do think that.
I am.
Yes.
I'm looking at it.
I think that's the majority of people. I speak for a lot, obviously I don't know. But I have no interest in my soul, jumping over to another kingdom completely when I have so much time, after my first death or whatever.
Yeah. I have plans that are going to take multiple lifetimes to see fruition.
Right. I think that's most people's infatuation with the game is the challenge of those plans and multiple lifetimes to make them occur.
Right. But what I mean by that is that my intent is that we're going to have a family, and it's going to be, brothers, sisters, cousins, whatever, however it plays out.
Right.
But when my character's gone, somebody else is going to inherit his task, and the person who inherits his task is the next character I play.
And it's going to be his heir in all likelihood.
Right.
His
exactly.
progeny.
Yes. Something along those lines.
Yes. I think that's 100% what most people are thinking. How did I say 100? But you get my point.
I have a feeling that a lot of MMO players are going to have a hard time with that concept.
I agree with you. It's very alien. It's a completely foreign concept to the current MMO and the level creep and the continual expansion and what do you call it? What's the next new thing to do? Because my character's maxed out. I've raced to the end level. There is no end level to race to here.
Correct.
And again, you say you don't see yourself as the character. I think that the fact that the character is finite, that he will grow old and die. I think you'll be actually people. Not everyone. I can't speak across the board, but people will be actually more invested in what that person can accomplish in that lifetime.
I think what I was trying to say is that I'm trying to keep myself invested in the plan.
In the family.
The family.
The bloodline.
More than the character.
Right. And I think you should be invested in your soul also. I think is the soul is really what replaces the character that doesn't die, because the soul doesn't die. The soul continues on through the
right.
And you have multiple souls to choose from if you don't enjoy one. And I don't know the differences really different souls have different destinies and different skill ramps depending on what their previous lifetimes were like. So go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I'm moving on.
So I'm hitting
you got
the
anything
puffer,
else to say?
so.
Say it. The next thing listed here is identities, and I don't know if that's what we were just talking about or not. It feels like it.
Well, the identity, I think, and this is speculation again, and I can't point to a dev journal and say this is where he talked about it, but I know I've read a lot of about this thing. But basically, your reputation determines your identity, and so if your identity can be separate from who you actually are. So you can actually have a disguise, or you can only tie your reputation to one version of yourself.
No, I get it.
I don't know if I'm being clear on that, but
no, I misunderstood the word.
Gotcha.
Because it came right after families. No, identity makes perfect sense.
You can build a complete double life in this game.
Yes, that's the point.
By controlling your reputation that is known about the person, and then your real reputation that you let other people know.
When you look back at other games, previous games, EQ was one we played a lot of, so we know quite a bit more about that than the others. But when you went to a PvP server and tried to play on that, if you did kill someone, they knew exactly who you were.
Yeah.
There was no way to hide it. None at all. Which takes a little bit of the realism out, but it also kind of adds a point of fairness.
Sure, especially in a game where their consequences were so limited for people who could kill. Yeah.
No, I mean, your famous story about the two whips.
The whips. God.
You knew exactly who that guy was, and since there were no consequences for his actions, him killing you and stealing your items didn't mean anything to him at all.
And if you want to be a mass murderer in this, you're going to be known as the mass murderer unless you protect your identity.
Yeah, and that's where it all comes into. And it's going to create a little bit of paranoia about people coming into town.
No, it's going to add so much to it. Like, we're going to be clannish inside the settlement when a stranger shows. Like, who's the stranger?
Yeah,
who's this guy?
And you have to be that way. I've always, in all the games we've ever played, I've always overlooked that. You know, when the adventurers come into a village, the village is never, they're never paranoid about you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no suspicion.
It's just people. Right. There's never any suspicion because it's not something I thought about. But the more we talk about identities and more we talk about this game, when somebody comes into town and I don't recognize them, there's no name above their head, whatever it is. We actually didn't talk about that part. But you're going to be suspicious. Everybody's going to be suspicious.
Maybe not overtly suspicious, but you're not going to be trusting.
Well, no.
And there may be some hostility, like depending on the war in the area and things like that.
No,
and the other cool thing about identity, I'm sorry, I'm derailing it, but is you can create this whole identity so that you can sink into a place, but you're an assassin ready to take out the king or the count or something, It just creates so much storytelling potential
So disguises is something that they've spoken about a little
Yes.
bit, and I've read a little bit about it.
Right.
Um, and that is going to be very important for those player killer style people who that's what they want to do.
Deviants. The deviant
The
tree.
griefers is what we used to call them, player killers, griefers.
Well, I
All they
think.
want to do is get into the game, and their enjoyment comes from making somebody else's life miserable in the game.
Well, and pure and Soulbound Studios has been very clear that pure trolling for the sake of trolling won't be tolerated. But there's a line between if they're playing their character, they're just doing what they do. It's not necessarily trolling or ruining someone else's immersion in the game. That is your game. You got a problem. And the cool part about this game is there is consequences for being that person.
Yes.
Now, whether they'll be strong enough to deter it and this doesn't descend into chaos and PKers and griefers ruin it, it's going to come down to the population of the people and how well they police and rally around. No, this world is going to have some order. It's just like our world. Without society saying, no, we will have order, then we would be the same way in real life.
Right. And I think that's the point that I was getting to, was that we make the order ourselves.
Yeah.
And if you just ride into town with no name above your head and kill somebody and leave, chances are they're going to track you down. They're going to find you and they're going to punish you.
Right. And whether that will be enough to dissuade that from happening remains to be seen in the game.
Oh, just lock them up. Dude, prison's real.
Yeah, I don't know how they're doing prison yet. I mean, I don't know if
I'm telling you, you just make a box that you can put somebody in and just keep them there. Now, most people with that mentality may just abandon that account and get another one, or start up a new character, another soul. But then they have to start over
until their prison sentence is up. No, I think that would be a great answer to it. But you also got the thing where you can, like, if I was really devious and I really wanted to cause problems and I hated your guts, I could, work on my disguise and my disguise abilities and disguise myself as you, and then go and let myself be seen doing some heinous crime and leave all the clues that point towards you and completely frame you, and boom, you get thrown in prison. And so that part is the part they have to balance and figure out, okay, what is fun, immersive gameplay and what can ruin the game, plain and simple. I think it's an exciting story if you get thrown in prison for a crime you didn't commit and I could spend my time trying to free you. You know what I'm saying? That's a fun story to play, except for you. Except for, you actually carving the little niches in the wall 1 day, 2 days. I've been in here 17 years.
I wonder, where we jumped way back to Crime and Punishment here, but I wonder if there's going to be a way to actually execute someone.
Well, there's the coup de grace. That's how you actually.
No. I mean, in game, there's a system for getting back to your body. If you haven't,
right?
You know what I'm saying.
So you're talking about final death.
Yeah, is there a way to execute someone to final death?
I've not read that they've. I mean, I guess it depends on their soul and how much they're. I don't know if you can just erase someone's soul through.
Well, not soul.
No, not their. I mean, what's left of their lifeline, their life.
Yes.
I don't know. I haven't seen anything that would lead me to believe that's possible. Now, like, because I know that I've read about, like, if you get a bounty token on yourself, okay, you commit a crime and they put a bounty token on you. Let's say me and you are bounty hunters, so we go to the bounty board and we're like, oh, look, the count wants this guy's head. We saw him come through town. Let's go track him down. We can go track him down. We can apprehend him. And then there's a thing where you can only drag him back towards the magistrate. You can't just take him off into the woods.
Right.
And I don't know exactly how that's all. And obviously, I don't know how it's going to work. But there is a way to apprehend people and then, like, take them back to the magistrate for a court date or whatever. And again, that ties back into the restraining. Are they going to be able to put him in a holding cell? All this stuff is speculation because
way speculation.
Are they going to have courts and you present proof and then it's like, okay, and then he's executed and he loses that much soul? Execution being used, obviously. I don't know. It's a great question. Don't have an answer.
All right, enough of that.
Yes, we are getting way off base because we love to talk.
Organizations. That's a very
Guilds,
broad word.
guilds, schools, orders. That's another thing they're going to be
Oh
testing through
man.
the Vox Elyria is how they can make this stuff work. And again, it all goes back tied to the contracts. I
For
think
the record, this is my least favorite topic of this game.
of this game,
Yeah.
you just don't like. You don't like what is it called? Authority. That's the word.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with authority. What I have a problem with is people trying to round up all the interests and corral them.
The collective.
Yeah, let's
You have a problem with socialism.
I don't let's say that I'm going to be a blacksmith,
Okay.
right?
You're going to be a blacksmith.
I'm going to be a blacksmith. I'm going to have my hammer, I'm going to have my forge. I'm going to make stuff out of metal.
You're going to do
I
things
don't-
that forge users do.
I don't I don't want somebody else coming in and saying we're doing stuff this way now. This is the way you're going to be doing it from now on.
Yeah, you're talking like our settlement area or our kingdom or maybe our county, and our count's like, okay, here's how it works. All blacksmiths belong to the blacksmith guild.
Yeah.
Yeah, and all blacksmithing work done, belongs to. If you discover something, pass it up the chain. We own it all.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're
that
talking,
bothers me a lot.
Yeah, the socialism. I think that there's obviously people working together can accomplish more stuff. I think there's going to be schools founded and orders founded that are like, let's explore the technology tree. Okay, all of us working together, we can do so much more together. And there's going to be things formed like that. But if anybody's forced into those, then yeah, I'm going to leave that kingdom. If they come to me and say you have to be a part of this, then I'm going to look to leave.
This is all based on looking for a kingdom to join.
Yes.
And the first thing they want to know is, what are you planning to do? And I was trying to be very vague about what I wanted to do. Just as I'm going to be vague in this podcast because it's the way I am. But they're like, okay, so, have you figured out what you want to do? And I gave a list. I was like, yeah, I'm interested in these things. They're like, oh, well, we have guilds for that, all of that. You could join a guild and da-da-da-da, and you'll have all the benefits of being in the guild and da-da-da-da.
Yeah, but in their defense, they're looking to entice you to join, and they think that's all benefits. They don't understand that you hate the idea of belonging to an order that tells you what to do.
All I'm saying is that if I'm a blacksmith and I create something new, I want to benefit from that for as long as possible.
You want that to be Patch's
else.
pauldrons of...
No, I want to be able to get as much benefit out of it as I can before I pass it along to other people to do.
You're a capitalist.
I am.
Yeah, I get
Yes,
it.
I am.
I have no issue with... I mean, dude, I think you know that I believe completely in hard work and payoff, and I don't want other people benefiting from my hard work.
I don't want to create something and then within a week, every blacksmith in the game is also making it because I had to pass it along.
I don't know exactly. I know that whenever you create a pattern, like you discover a pattern, it belongs to you. Almost like a patent.
Yes.
They've talked about this in the dev journals and stuff. And then after a certain point, it will, obviously spread. I mean, that's the way it works in real life even.
Right. And I'm okay with this.
People will copy it and things like that. But I think that almost like, when a new drug is created, you get the name brand of it, and they get like 2 years to market it before the generics can just copy it completely and go. That's to protect their whatever, their investment, and so they can make a profit and fuck humanity progressing. But no, I get what you're saying completely. That you don't want to spend a lot of time discover something and then just everybody knows it.
Right. I want my family to benefit from it for a good amount of time before it becomes just an everyday thing.
And I guess it comes down to, what did you discover? Is it something that like anybody who did the same amount of work is going to discover? Yeah. Are you talking about once you discover something, it's locked to the server? Again, that comes into mechanics, and that's what I think they're going to be testing through the Elyria mud and the alphas and things like that.
I mean, you can even take it back to your analogy. If I come up with a potion that cures a specific disease or prevents you from being poisoned or, protects you from the venom of this certain animal,
right?
I want people to have to come to me to buy it.
I can't argue that. My argument against that is, this is a huge world, and other people are going to be working on it on the other side of the world. And,
No, if somebody else comes up with it, I am 100% okay with that. I'm not saying that I'm going to be, super genius coming up with all these things before anybody else. I'm just saying that I don't want everybody in my area to get my recipe before I have made my stamp with it.
I don't think that's going to happen in this game unless, you belong to a guild that you've joined willingly that says, right. So I don't join those guilds. That's my answer.
But I get the impression from these Discord server kingdoms that joining those guilds is what the nobility want us to do.
Yeah, I think again, let's speculate some more, okay? Like we're not doing anything but that. They're the kingdoms that exist as they are right now. They're literally just trying to play this game before it's out. So they're coming up with everything they can. We're going to have a blacksmith guild. We're going to have this guild. We're going to discover this. We're going to do this. This is all going to be in place. With no, it's not in the game yet. And and maybe some of them will work great and some of them will excel. And I know some of them will excel and some of them will fall apart, all depending on the individual people inside and how they feel about it.
Right.
Like if we get in a kingdom where they say, no, you have to, if you're working on smithing, you have to belong to a blacksmith's guild, then I don't care that we started there. We're going to uproot and we're going to get on our mule and we're going to a different place.
You're 100% correct.
And if that, if enough of people feel like us are in a certain kingdom, then they're going to migrate out. But if there are a ton of people who are like, yes, the collective, let's be better than everybody else. Let's work hard together. Workers unite.
It makes me sound like a money grubbing douche.
Yeah, exactly. He is.
But the reality is that this is a game.
No, and that's how you get your enjoyment is working harder and trying to be better than other people.
Right.
No, I get it, man, and benefiting from that hard work.
No, if I invented a cure for cancer tomorrow in the real world, I'd give it away to the world for free.
Yes.
And it wouldn't bother me in the slightest.
I can attest to that. He is that person.
But in this game, I'm not that person.
Right.
I don't care that your children are dying from this disease.
In the game.
You don't have the money to buy it. In the game. If you don't have the money to buy it, fuck off. I don't care.
And then they come in with the pitchforks and the torches. There's so much potential. Okay. The other things are going to be tested in Vox Elyria, parties and grouping, and then, of course, reputation and fame, which we touched on.
Is that even a thing? Is parties and grouping a thing in this game?
I think it's a staple of MMOs. So is it a staple of the Meow? I don't know. Parties are obviously an easier way to chat, where you can... I enjoy the fact that I can talk in party and not everybody around me can hear it. If we
have we not reached the point where, I guess people are going to be randoming up. Is that kind of what this is about?
There's a benefit for parties and grouping. So, I don't know how that'll work exactly in this game with no mini map, no compass on the screen, on the UI, unless you pull out a compass and look at it.
I guess it's my misconception that this game would not have parties and grouping.
I don't think it's in the traditional sense of an MMO where your group turns into blue dots on the mini map and everybody else is green dots and mobs are red dots, and you can see where your friends are, as silhouettes through the terrain. I don't think it'll be in that sense, but I do think there is a good need for the ability to have a party. But again, we don't know I think the communication in this game is going to be very old school. And I say that in not a lot of server wide shouts and area wide shouts. You can only talk to people you can actually hear.
Is there going to be an in-game voice system?
Not in-game. I do not believe so at all.
Okay.
But again, I say that with my normal caveat of I don't know.
Reputation and fame is the last thing written on here. I think we've gone through.
Yeah, we touched on it with the families and crime and punishment. So that's basically Vox Elyria, and I'm sure they're going to be testing so much more than just that. Right. But that is the crux of a lot of the stuff they're going to be touching on in the Vox Elyria. And again, it's the game with a different visual client over the top of it that they don't have to spend as much time developing to see, while they continue to work on the pretty aspect of the graphics engine, the Unreal. It's Unreal, right? Unreal Engine.
Yes, Unreal Engine.
Okay. So after that, or coinciding with that, will be Alpha 1. I don't know exactly the time frame on which one comes first. I think Vox Elyria is first. Then Alpha 1 is where they'll be testing out a lot of the stuff with actual players and the backers that are getting into Alpha 1. They get to come in and start checking stuff out.
So achievements is one of the things we have listed here. They're going to be testing in Alpha 1.
Right.
Going back to organizations, crafting, coming up with your own recipes.
Okay.
You think that's what achievements are going to be like?
I think achievements ties more, and this is, I'm going to get tired of saying we don't know, we're speculating, so I'm going to quit saying it. I think achievements to me is more like you go out and you kill a trison or a wild borelephant or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I'm making up a Chronicles of Elyria creature by smashing two together. Bat lizard. Anyway, you go out and you kill one of those, and again, information is a commodity in this game. So that was an achievement, and then the villagers in your area start talking about it. You know, that actual information spreads. Hey, holy crap, Patchfile killed the bat lizard.
No, that's what I'm saying. Go back to the blacksmith creates a new horseshoe that makes horses run faster.
Yes, and in that regard, yes, I think that's something that the villagers will start talking about. And I think the achievements is kind of like your reputation spreading. Like a bard coming through will pick up that story and travel to the next village and tell those people. Patchfile developed the horsey speedy shoe. and that's and I'm sure there's lots more achievements.
The mount go faster shoe.
But I'm thinking that's kind of like the reputation spreading system.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense.
That makes sense to me. Now, whether that
I'm saying is when they say achievement system, they're not talking about your standard computer or console game.
Yeah, like achievement hunter.
You play through the game once.
Kill 300 orcs in one.
You had a lot of fun. You liked the game, and then you play the game through again so that you can hit every achievement.
And max out that game.
That's not what they're talking about.
No, I don't believe so.
These are things like server firsts.
I think these are things that
really big things that happen that people will talk about.
The actual story engine recognizes, and it actually moves the story forward, or yeah,
absolutely,
the world forward.
I like that style of achievement system.
No, it's very and it's unknown. I don't think there'll be a list of achievements out there that you can.
No. I agree with you. I don't think there will be.
And I think also the achievements could be tied to your destiny, which is generated by your soul. So different achievements for different folks.
I wonder if there would be something like some kind of background system as part of the programming, where it's not like there's a set of achievements for you to get, but there's a computer program that's watching everything that happens, and when you do something, the program's like, "Yep, that's important. That's an achievement."
Dude, you're beyond me as far as what the.
I'm just saying that might be way beyond the scope of a computer game right now, but that sounds cool to me.
Well, let's talk about it, because we talked about some of this stuff 20 years ago, and now it's happening. So when we're 60 and playing these games, maybe that'll be going on. Artificial intelligence. That's Alpha Experience are going to be testing a lot of the AI, and the AI I think is very make or break on this game, because you never log out. We talked about that last podcast. But the fact that you never log out.
Let's be clear though about the artificial intelligence. What we're talking about is the scripting engine that tells the characters in game what to do when nobody else is controlling them.
Right. Including NPCs and offline player characters, or OPCs.
The same scripts that we can manipulate. I don't know if we're going to be... I doubt we'll actually be writing them. I imagine it'll just be a list of...
I imagine a plug-and-play type
absolutely,
copy-paste.
A question-answer.
Yeah.
When this is going on, your character does this.
Bunch of if-then statements based off your... I think
it's my understanding that the NPCs will live their entire existence on this scripting engine.
Right, and it's based off hierarchy and... Yes.
Yeah, the hierarchy of needs.
Like it's like this NPC's a lumberjack. He's going to chop wood unless he's hungry. He's going to go eat food. And if he can't get food, he's going to leave this kingdom.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
And I see a lot of you said that before about if they can't find food, they're going to leave the kingdom. I imagine a a lemming style group of NPCs just trucking out into the wilderness, and
just
all
just
dying of
just
starvation.
moving, just dying of starvation up there. Well, and
They
then I
can't
think it
find
goes
food. They're out there on their hands and knees just eating grass. They
just
can't figure out what else to do.
again, man. This thing is so big as far as I don't know what's going to happen if a bunch of NPCs can't get food in the current place they're at. Are they going to
Right.
start farming, to make it happen? And then
Do they just start killing all the players and taking their stuff? They start breaking into houses. What's going to happen?
yeah, just anarchy and dystopia.
Like they start busting out windows and taking pies.
I just don't know how advanced the actual scripting can be for the NPCs if they'll understand why they're starving. You know what I mean? Or if it's just simply I'm starving, I'm gonna go where I can get food.
And you take it down a notch. Well, do you think that the NPCs will? You think part of their script will be, well, I've got a couple of coins. I'll just go over to the store and buy food.
Yes, I do think it's that basic. And it's when they can't do that that I'm starting to say.
Or can they barter their things away? See, that's how deep it. This is how deep it could get.
No, I
'Cause
get it, man.
You talked about the wood chopper. This guy chops wood. It's what he does. He goes out. He cuts down trees. He chops them up into lumber. Can this guy walk into a player-run store and say, "I need food. I'll trade you for wood"?
I don't see why he couldn't. But if the player says no, I don't need wood. I already got it from you yesterday and the day before, and I need hides. You idiot.
I don't think you can convey that to the NPCs.
That's where I'm going on the AI and stuff, and it'll be interesting.
Right.
And I mean, the simple fix is, hey, this is a game. If the NPCs can't eat and it gets to where they have no option, then poof, they just disappear from that area, and then poof, reappear somewhere else where they're needed. And I know that's not totally.
No, that's actually a really good idea.
I mean, it's not totally immersive, but
Well, no, but if the economy in a village is failing to the point where the NPCs are starving, instead of just having them migrate or die,
or wither and die, and
yeah, you
emaciated.
You log in one day and all the NPCs are gone. Why are they gone? Well, because this village sucks.
Yeah. See, I think that's a great consequence. Because NPCs being more like a commodity than you know what I'm saying?
Oh, that is a great way to describe it. The NPCs are a commodity, and when NPCs start disappearing from your village, it means there's something wrong.
Yeah. See, I think that's great mechanic. Now, people argue the realism of it, but I enjoy the game.
Realism is you can't hold on to realism.
Yeah, I don't want to play Life, the role-playing game.
Yeah, no, I don't.
I get enough life in life.
No, the artificial intelligence is another rabbit hole. We could probably sit and talk all day long about what it would be cool for them to do.
It's cool for them to do and all that stuff, but also how bad can players learn to abuse it?
Yes.
Oh, well, you're going to give me 14 wood for food because you're starving? Well, I'll make sure you're starving. This exchange rate is unbelievable when you're...
And if after a week of real time that it doesn't get better for that NPC, poof, he leaves.
Yeah, and they
gone.
can even do it slowly where, the first day a couple disappear, then the next day a couple disappear, and it's like, where's everybody going? I don't understand.
Right. Well, then the mayor is the one who has the problem.
Yeah, without a doubt.
And I bet, this is again a guess, but I bet the mayor will have some kind of system that shows him, okay, I've got 40 NPCs living in my village along with my players.
Right.
Now all of a sudden I only have 35 NPCs. Where'd the other NPCs go?
Right.
It says starving left. Oh, we've got a problem. Now if that mayor ignores that, it just gets worse and worse and worse.
No, and again, that's just such a on top of a fun MMO. That being on top of all this is just mind-boggling that much could be in the game, and
it is mind-boggling. But it's also interesting, and it's another aspect of the social experience.
Not only that, the story potential of villages dying or flourishing, the story potential is just unreal.
Right.
And you throw on top of that war and sabotage and political intrigue.
Can you imagine not being able to play for like a month?
Come back
and then logging in and your whole village is just a ghost town.
Your guy's just sitting there making his ingots. The script you left him on, he's still making his ingots.
All right, let's try to hit this one. Ecology.
Ecology. So this is just the UO experiment that went terribly wrong?
I'm guessing that's what this means.
Yeah.
Basically, how do one step devolved from NPCs will be the actual creatures,
And plant
animals,
life.
monsters, plant lives, the flora and the fauna of this world, and how it replenishes itself, propagates, how it
Yes.
survives, migrations, things of that nature.
I think it's going to be awesome. I think that it's been 25 years since the UO failure.
And we'll have to talk about that at some point.
You can give a quick rundown of it. They basically built...
Ultima Online, they decided they were going to create this ecology of animals and plants where the plants would grow, the animals would eat them, the animals would populate, and there would always be animals. There were some animals that ate other animals, some animals that ate plants. The idea was that they start this ecology running, and then it would live for the life of the entire game, the whole 5-year, 10-year, whatever plan they had. That there would always be these animals and always be these plants. The moment the game went live, the players, got into the game and just like a swarm of locusts went across the entire world and wiped out all of the living animals they could come across. Within hours, there were no animals left to propagate.
The player character factor.
And so they had to destroy that entire. I mean, they talk about that they spent months on this, that they thought they were so proud of it, and it just got wiped out instantly.
And the good news is it's been 25 years, like I said, and I'm sure that and the size of the game, you know what I'm saying? I think that the sheer amount of areas, yes, I think the ecology will get wiped out in the areas of the settlement, just like it is around cities. There's no bears in the cities.
It's gonna be that way.
And it'll be safer around the village, the cities because of that.
Right.
And that's why, it'll be relatively safe in a city. And people who venture out into the wilderness, well, it's dangerous because there's bears. What's something good to cross with a bear?
For those people who need those hides, every day that you go hunting, you're going to have to go further and further out.
Yes, because I love it, man. You're gonna have to risk more to get more.
Yes.
The bearverine. It's the best I could do on short notice. Dynamic environments, of course, snow accumulates and comes. Weather matters. You got to wear the right gear for the. If you're in the desert, you better be wearing stuff that keeps you cool. If you're in the winter, in the snow, you will freeze to death. The world will kill you. The environment will kill you in this game. They're gonna be testing that in the Alpha 1. Your character's life cycle, how much it costs your soul to die, and things like that. All that will be tested. Your soul's continuation into this next lifestyle, and then the impact of your choices on the story engine. All that stuff is what they're going to be testing in Alpha 1. And this is all early stuff. It's all stuff that's slated to be... The Vox Elyria and Alpha 1 are both coming up, I'm pretty sure, relatively quick in the grand scheme of things.
Well, we've seen a lot of the Vox Elyria in videos and screenshots and stuff, so we know that they have it in-house and they've been playing with it.
Yes.
We just don't know when they're going to put it in the hands of the players who have access to it.
Right. And as soon as they do, we'll be talking about it.
Yeah, we will be talking about it. I imagine a lot of people will be talking about it. So,
but we meant to touch a lot more stuff this episode, but really we just talked about Vox Elyria, what they'll be testing, and of course we went down a few rabbit holes. Next episode, we'll be talking about the other stuff coming up before launch, which is server selection, settlement, and domain selection for the kings. The Kingdoms of Elyria game that's coming out way before launch.
And for those of you who like the rabbit holes, Kingdoms of Elyria will be a big one.
Yeah, I think so. The design experiences that people have coming up before game launch, where you can make your own tattoos and hairstyles that'll be put into the game that you designed, along with weapons, armor, relics,
armor, shields.
Yeah, there's
relics.
all sorts. Yeah, we're going to talk about those design experiences, and then of course the prologue and the exposition, which are also things outside of the normal alpha beta experience that most games have. So, yeah, Sam, as always.
I wish I could describe in words how excited I am. Just talking about this stuff makes me, every time we talk about it, I love it.
No, it's fun, man. I enjoy it. Hope you enjoyed it. Again, if you have questions or stuff you want us to discuss, hit us up. VendorTrash27
at gmail.com.
At gmail.com. You can't stop me.
We are Vendor Trash.
That's
Thank
us.
you for listening. Later, Kalus.
We'll see you next episode.